Hello, happy Friday. Welcome to The Distance, Atlanta Track Club's online hub of resources to support us in staying healthy and active while we continue to navigate these challenging times. My name is Alissa Palladino. I am a registered dietitian and runner based here in Atlanta, and I'm coming at you live once again from my kitchen for your weekly Lunch and Learn, where we've been discussing a whole range of nutrition topics that are relevant to you as runners, as walkers, as people committed to living a healthy, active lifestyle. If you've missed any of the previous episodes, they all live right here on the Atlanta Track Club's YouTube channel, where you can also find a lot of other great resources, such as workouts from the Atlanta Track Club staff, yoga and meditation classes, interviews with elite athletes, and so much more. So definitely worth checking it out if you haven't already. Now that we are really 5 months into dealing with the impacts of COVID-19 and nearly 5 months into this nutrition series, I just wanted to take a step back and briefly reiterate and address why it is so important for us as runners and really as human beings to focus on our nutrition. And I realize that as a registered dietitian, I'm a little bit biased and probably preaching to the choir a bit too, given that those of you watching have chosen to hear me talk about nutrition. But really, our food choices are so powerful. Our food choices have the power to profoundly impact so many aspects of our lives, from our energy levels to our mood, to our sleep, to our performance during exercise, to our risk of getting certain diseases, to better managing diseases, and to promoting our overall health and improving our overall quality of life. So it's been really cool to have this platform here on Atlanta Track Club's YouTube channel to share nutrition information with all of you, and hopefully do so in a way that makes healthy eating feel enjoyable, practical, accessible, and maybe not as complicated as it can sometimes feel. So there definitely is this tendency to view nutrition as something that's really, really complicated. And of course, there's no shortage of conflicting, confusing dietary advice out there, different fad diets, which I've covered in a previous Wingfoot article, and I probably will cover again at some point in this video forum. But there's definitely this idea that eating healthy is complicated, it's expensive, it requires following strict nutrition rules, loading up on superfoods, supplements, maybe making recipes with really esoteric, hard to find ingredients. And what I've hoped to show over the course of this series, and what I always really focus on with my clients individually and in group settings, is that that doesn't have to be the case. There really are a wide variety of really nutritious, simple, budget-friendly, versatile food items that can easily be incorporated into a healthy eating pattern. And so we focused on some of those foods in previous episodes. We've talked about peanut butter. We've talked about canned beans, canned chickpeas, different ways to use those. We've talked about bananas. So last week we did 3 different dessert recipes featuring bananas. And this week we're going to kind of carry on that theme and focus on another shelf-stable, pantry staple that is a very runner-friendly food, and that is oats. Yeah. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about the health and nutrition benefits of oats, and sharing some creative ways to enjoy oats that aren't just a bowl of oatmeal, and demoing some recipes. So to get started about why oats are so good for us, and they really are. They are really a nutritional powerhouse. They're a whole grain, and they're gluten-free whole grain, which isn't why they're healthy, but it does mean that they are suitable for people with celiac disease or people who are gluten intolerant, assuming you go with a brand that has not been cross-contaminated in the production. But the reason from a nutrition standpoint that oats are so runner-friendly is because they're an excellent source of complex carbohydrates. And as we've discussed in previous episodes, when it comes to both endurance and high-intensity exercise, carbs are the preferred fuel source. And they're also the preferred fuel source for our brains and really all the cells in our bodies. So whether we're trying to optimize our workouts or whether we're trying to just really stay focused and productive during the workday, we want to make sure we're getting nutritious sources of carbohydrates, and oats definitely fit the bill with about 27 grams of high quality carbs per half cup serving. So really not a lot. They're also a really good source of soluble fiber. And I've talked about fiber a lot in previous episodes, but fiber is so helpful for our health in a number of reasons. One is that it slows down digestion and can help stabilize blood sugar levels. So that's a really great way to keep our energy steady throughout the day and also either prevent or better manage prediabetes or diabetes. The soluble fiber is also really heart healthy because it helps lower our LDL cholesterol, which is a risk factor for heart disease. And in general, fiber kind of helps keep things moving, promotes regularity. It's associated with a high fiber diet, associated with reduced risk for a number of diseases such as cancer, heart disease. So that fiber is a great nutritional benefit of oats. It's also a pretty good source of plant-based iron. We need iron to make red blood cells that carry oxygen to all our working muscles during exercise, really. So we want to make sure we have enough iron in our diets, and B vitamins as well, which are involved in the energy production pathway. And then, being a whole grain, oats are actually a pretty good source of protein. So half a cup, we're not eating oats for the protein, but you are getting about 5 grams of protein with each half cup serving of oats. So some good nutrition benefits there. And again, for runners, we definitely want to make sure we're getting in those carbs before exercise and regularly throughout the day. So oats can be a great way to do that. Last week, we actually used oats to make the banana peanut butter oatmeal cookies. When we talked about breakfast early on, one of the recipes I demoed, I believe, was overnight oats, which is a great way to enjoy oats cold and balance the carbs from the oats with the protein from the Greek yogurt to have a really balanced breakfast. And I believe I even used them in an Energy Bites recipe, which is a great alternative to a store-bought granola bar, combining oats with peanut butter, a sweetener, nuts, dried fruit, rolling them into bites, and you've got a great energy-packed snack there. So some ways we've used oats already that you can look back and view them. Today, I'm going to do a little bit of ambitious recipes, so we'll see if we get through. But the first oat recipe I'm going to demo is actually a DIY granola. So granola is similar to oats, kind of a runner favorite. It's easy to have a bowl of it if you need a lot of energy. It's easy to throw a handful of it in some Greek yogurt for a snack. It's easy to throw into a baggie and kind of take with you if you're out for a long day or a hike or something like that. And it's delicious. And of course, there's endless varieties of granola available in the grocery store, but it's also really easy and fun to make your own. And when you do it, you can totally customize it. So like with a lot of the recipes I share here, there's not like a formal recipe. You cannot mess this up. If you use more oats, less oats, more of some of the other ingredients, less of some of the other ingredients, it's still probably going to come out well. But I will kind of share a template. And before I get started, I'm going to preheat the oven, which I forgot to do last week. So here we go. So most granola recipes call for either 300 or 350 degrees in the oven. So I'm doing 325 as sort of a happy medium. The first ingredient for our DIY granola is going to be, of course, our oats. So I'm going to put about a cup of oats. This is just going to be a small serving of granola. Cup of oats. Then I'm going to add, basically you need some nuts and you need some dried fruit. The nuts you want to add in with the oats and actually bake them along with the granola. The dried fruit you want to add after you take the granola out of the oven because otherwise they're going to burn. And here you can use whatever nuts you like, whatever seeds you like, and whatever you happen to have on hand. So I'm going to do a combo today. I'm going to do almonds, cashews, and some chia seeds. But if you like pistachios, walnuts, pecans, flaxseed, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds. Again, you really can't mess this up and kind of do whatever you like, whatever you happen to have. So far, that's what we have. Now I'm going to add some cinnamon, because cinnamon makes everything better. And actually, there's some pretty cool research around cinnamon and blood sugar management. Plus, it adds flavor and almost mimics a sweet flavor profile without actually adding any sugar. So that's so far. Now we need to add a combination of a fat and a sweetener. So here you can use for your fat either olive oil, canola oil, or coconut oil that's been melted, since it tends to be solid at room temperature. And for our sweetener, we really could use maple syrup, honey, or agave, really any kind of liquid sweetener. I have seen some recipes for brown sugar or like a granulated sweetener, but because we kind of want to coat it, it's kind of better off with a liquid sweetener. And I'm going to use some maple syrup here today. Right, and so that's what we've got so far. Stir it all up. And you want to get it nice and coated and liquid. All right. You can also add a little bit of vanilla extract. You can add really any other items that you want. Here, you can even add some peanut butter. You could use that as your healthy fat, actually. That would be really delicious. And I've seen some recipes with that. Okay. So the next thing you're going to need to do, our oven is preheating. You're going to take your sheet pan. Most recipes will call to layer it with parchment paper. I don't have parchment paper. So we're going to take a risk here and just spray it with some coconut oil. And I may have said this in previous episodes, but I really advise keeping different spray oils in your kitchen because they're really versatile for cooking all sorts of things. And it allows you to like add the fat that you need to whatever you're cooking, whether it's vegetables or granola, instead of free pouring it where you're not ever sure exactly how much you're using. So if you're looking to cut down on some excess calories, the spray oils can just be very useful. Okay, so what I've just done is I took the granola from the bowl and put it on the sheet pan. Now we're just going to kind of spread it out. And this is just 1 cup of oats and a handful of 3 different types of nuts and seeds. You can see it looks like that. If you want a more chunky granola, sometimes recipes will call for forming it into more of like a big bar, and then you can break it up into chunks afterwards. But I'm actually going to go ahead and bake it just like this. The oven is preheating. I'm going to stick it in, and then generally 20 minutes or so, you can watch it, and then halfway through, if I remember, hopefully I will, we'll kind of toss it around to make sure it doesn't start to burn. And then the last step will be adding our dried fruit. So I'm going to do raisins. That's absolutely my favorite. But you can do chopped dates, you can do chopped apricots, you can do craisins, you can do really any kind of dried fruit that you like. Cherries too. All right. So granola is in the oven, and while that's going, this is going to be a little bit of an adventure, but I'm going to try to demo one of my favorite go-to recipes that I love to make after a long run for a weekend breakfast, and that is my power pancakes. And with the power pancakes, we're basically using oats and a little bit of coconut flour just because I love the flavor that it adds to any kind of baked goods. But primarily, we're using the oats in the place of a refined flour in the pancakes. So we're going to get, a really comforting, nutritious post-run or post-workout or just breakfast meal. And instead of the kind of empty carbs from the refined flour, we're getting all the nutrition of the oats. So I've never made this on camera before, and it tends to be a little bit of a mess. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to turn on the burner. So we've got our little pancake pan here. Once again, I'm gonna spray it with my coconut oil. And the ingredients for the power pancakes, again, I don't always stick to exact quantities. I really don't weigh or measure it. I don't tend to, but let's just say for the sake of you all watching and maybe trying to replicate this, about a cup of old-fashioned oats. You can totally use instant oats, and I've done it with instant oats as well. We're gonna do a serving of this whey casein blend protein powder. You do not have to use protein powder. There are eggs in this recipe, so you're getting protein that way. You're getting protein from the oats. You can use a little bit of cottage cheese or Greek yogurt, and that's another great way to add protein if you don't want to use a powder. I just tend to do it because I know it has a little bit of a vanilla flavor. I know it's a high quality protein, and I do tend to make these after a long run or hard workout, and I want to know that I'm getting enough high quality protein in there. All right, so that's going to go in. And in general, I do enjoy baking with protein powder. Okay, we're going to add a little bit of flaxseed. Again, this is kind of optional as well too. It's adding a little bit of healthy fats, those omega-3s that are anti-inflammatory, and some good dietary fiber. So our flax, that's a new addition for me. I haven't always made that. And then, like I said, I like to use a little bit of coconut flour. It absorbs the liquid. It adds just a really nice, like nutty flavor, some healthy fat to kind of balance out the carbs in the recipe. And yeah, it just tastes really good. That's about a quarter cup of coconut flour. Then we're going to add anywhere between 1 to 2 eggs or a cup of liquid egg whites, which is what I'm going to do today because I just think it's easier. All right, so far we've got all our ingredients in here. That's the oven telling me it's finally done preheating. Now we're going to add some cinnamon and some vanilla extract. That makes everything better. I think I forgot to add the vanilla to the granola. That would have been good. Okay. So that's what we've got so far. The vanilla smells amazing. Stirring it all up. Depending on how many eggs you use, you might need to add a little bit of milk to make it like liquidy enough to form a pancake batter. I use a good amount of the liquid egg whites, so I actually don't think we need any kind of milk in this recipe, but sometimes I put it in there. Gotta stir it up nice and well, make sure there's no chunks. Honestly, a whisk would probably be ideal here. Let's see. All right. So I'm just gonna try to make one pancake, and then I'll move on to the rest of the recipes because I don't, otherwise this is gonna be a big mess. Okay. So as you can see, it kind of looks like pancake batter. Smells delicious. Got the vanilla, the coconut. We've got our oats going on in there. All right. So I'm going to pour a little bit of this onto our prepared pan. Coconut oil is already starting to burn a little. To show you what it looks like. I'm going to let it do its thing. I actually need to go get my spatula. I'll be right back. All right, so protein pancake or power pancake, it's on the stove, it's doing its thing. Every time I've tried to photograph or document this process, it's a big mess. So fingers crossed it works today. And as it's going, I just will share a couple other ideas for using oatmeal. And one is, like I mentioned, it's a whole grain. So really, we almost always think about oatmeal as being like a sweet part of a sweet meal, but it actually can be savory. So if you cook a batch of it up, either on the on the stove top or whatever, and you don't add sweetener like maple syrup or honey, and you want to use it in the place of, say, brown rice or quinoa, nutritionally, it's really quite similar. It's giving you an excellent source of complex carbohydrates, B vitamins, fiber, protein. So all the same things you'd be getting from brown rice or quinoa you're getting with the oats, and it just might like break through that boredom that you may have with some of your go-to meals. Another recipe that I'm not going to demo today, I'm going to demo it in a future episode where we talk about post-run snacks that aren't energy bars. So come back for that one. Is oatmeal blender muffins. So you're actually blending up your oats and your banana and some Greek yogurt and a few other ingredients in a blender, and then using a muffin tin and making muffins, which is a great, prep ahead for the week, grab and go post-run snack. So love using oats. And in general, it's great for baking. You can do baked oatmeal. You can do overnight oats, like I mentioned. You can do like a berry or an apple or peach crisp using the oatmeal to kind of make almost a little granola topping. And there's two other ways to use oats that are sort of new to me that I think some of you might be interested in. And one is going to be making your own oat flour. There's an explosion of interest in alternative flours, one of which is oat flour, along with the coconut, the almond, all that stuff, even chickpea flour. But oat flour you can purchase, or less expensive and kind of fun, you can make it from oats in your own kitchen. And all you need is a little blender. My pancake. I think I'm going to go flip it over, and I'll come back and we'll make the oat flour. Looking good, right? All right, let's flip it over. There we go. Must be something about being live that it actually didn't explode all over the place today. So thanks for watching. Okay, so while that's finishing up, we're going to do our oat flour. And so literally one ingredient and one piece of equipment, which is this trusty blender, which we used last week to make our banana ice cream. Just going to put our oats in, not measuring them, obviously. And then literally, that's all you do. Oat flour. So simple. And you don't have to worry about finding it at the grocery store. It's expensive. Maybe they're out of it because everyone's baking now. Make your own with the oats you already have, and you're good to go. You can use any recipe you find online that calls for oat flour. Now you know. Okay, so pancake is done. So I'm going to take it off, and I'm not going to make the rest of the batter live. 1 second. All right, so our final kind of idea that I'm going to try to show is making our own oat milk. So like oat flour, it's kind of exploded along with all the non-dairy milk alternatives that are all over, the grocery store now. We've got our cashew milk, our almond milk, our soy milk, our pea protein-based milk, our coconut milk, and now our oat milk. So if you've tried it, I tend to go with my dairy milk or my soy milk or my cashew milk over the oat milk. But I have heard that it's great in coffee, it's great in cereal, it's great in granola, and that it even froths up. So if you're looking to froth up some milk to go in coffee or to make a latte, apparently oat milk works as well as dairy milk. So something to try. We're going to try to make our own. And the only pre-step I did was actually just soaking about a cup of oats in about 3 to 4 cups of water overnight. And so once we've done that, we're just going to blend it in kind of just a regular old blender. This is a really inexpensive one. So that basically just took the oats and made them like softer. And of course there's liquid here. So let's see if we can get the blender to work. Okay. Oat flour here. Okay. Fingers crossed. Working. That was really simple. Okay. So if you have oats, water, and a blender, you can make your own oat milk. Yes. Here we go. Okay. Now, the only other step to actually having this ready to go is to strain it in case there are any little pieces of oatmeal that are still in there. So we'll use a little strainer. We'll pour it back into the bowl that we had the oats soaking in. And honestly, I think if I had blended this maybe a little bit more, we would have less oatmeal remaining. But here we go. We've got a little bit of oatmeal sort of trapped in our blender, in our strainer here. And at the same time, we've got a whole awesome bowl of our own oat milk. This does not have a lot of flavor on its own. So what you can do is add a little bit of vanilla. That's a really good little tip. A lot of our nut milks are vanilla flavored for that reason. And you can also add a little bit of cinnamon, which I'm going to do. And then if you like things a little sweeter, you can add a little bit of sweetener or stevia, which I'm going to do here. And let's see, where's our spoon? Here we go. And really, this will keep in the fridge for about a week. And there you go. We got our own oat milk. I would probably pour it. I'm not going to do it on camera. I'd probably pour this into an airtight container. I'm just going to cover it with this for now. And then, yeah, keep it in the fridge for about a week. I'm really looking forward to trying this oat milk in my coffee, which is something that I enjoy every day, if not multiple times a day. I do also have recently invested in a frother, a hand frother, to take my coffee up a notch. So I'm going to take the advice that I've heard, which is that oat milk froths well, and try that in my coffee today. So for those of you watching, I'm assuming that many of you have oats in your pantry, or you can easily add them to your grocery list next time you hit the store. And I would encourage you to think outside the box as far as just having a regular old bowl of oatmeal. If you enjoy that, there's no reason to stop doing that. But of course, there's a lot of other ways you can use the oats and reap the benefit of this really just versatile staple item. And again, budget friendly, shelf stable. It's really the perfect thing to have on hand year round. If you missed the episodes where I did the overnight oats or the banana oatmeal cookies or the energy bites, look back in the archives and then tune back in when I cover how to make the oatmeal banana blender muffins, which will be another great use for our oats. I'm just trying to think if there's any other ways I can share while I have you here. Does anyone listening want to share some creative ways they've used oats? I'm all ears. While we have 2 minutes left, let me check on the granola, see how it's doing. Smells really good. I'm going to take a moment and just it really does smell good. My whole kitchen smells good. I'm going to do a little extra spray just to make sure it doesn't burn. And put it back in. And like I said, the last step is going to be adding the dried fruit. Actually, you can add chocolate chips as well. Or really, those are the two things, the dried fruit or the chocolate chips that you're going to want to add after it's come out of the oven and it's cooled. So these are my raisins. I'll add them after the fact. And then I would really recommend using granola as a topping for a high protein base. So putting it in cottage cheese, putting it in Greek yogurt, putting it in kefir, having it with a milk, that's a good source of protein because you're going to have a really balanced snack where you're going to get carbs from the oats that are the basis of the granola, and you're going to get protein from whatever vehicle you've used to enjoy it. And remember, with DIY granola, we're also getting some healthy fats because we added nuts. So whatever nut you prefer, almonds, cashews, pistachios, walnuts, pecans, pumpkin seeds, whatever, you're getting a great source of heart healthy fats there, along with a bunch of other micronutrients as well. So bottom line, Nutrition does not have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to buy crazy esoteric ingredients. You don't have to follow strict rules. In fact, maybe you shouldn't. And I hope that that's the message that you take away from today, some new ways to use those oats. And I hope to see you back next Friday. We're trying to do a Q&A. So if you're a member of the Atlanta Track Club, you will be getting an email prompting you to ask your nutrition questions, those burning things you want to know. And depending on what questions we get, I will try to address them live next Friday. So tune back in, enjoy your oats, and happy weekend.